Want to speak real Arabic from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at ArabicPod101.com.
Hi everyone, my name is Prihan and this is the Arabic Top Words. Today's topic is 10 phrases to amaze native speakers. So let's get started. أقدر أحفظ حوالي 50 كلمة عربي جديدة في اليوم. I can memorize around 50 new Arabic words a day. The first phrase is أقدر أحفظ حوالي 50 كلمة عربي جديدة في اليوم. I can memorize around 50 new Arabic words a day. أقدر أحفظ حوالي 50 كلمة. It's too long, even I cannot memorize it. That sounds tough. Good luck. أقدر أتابع أفلام عربي من غير ترجمة. I can watch Arabic movies without subtitles. The next one is أقدر أتابع أفلام عربي من غير ترجمة. I can watch Arabic movies without subtitles. I think it's amazing to watch Arabic movies without subtitles because, as you all know, Arabic has a standard Arabic and dialect Arabic, and they're so different. So usually all movies are made in the dialect. So if you can listen to the dialect and understand so well without the subtitles, that means that you're very, very good at Arabic. Yeah. أنا بتعلم عربي لوحدي. I'm learning Arabic all by myself. أنا بتعلم عربي لوحدي. I'm learning Arabic all by myself. And this is amazing because Arabic is very difficult. So if you decide to learn it all by yourself, then you're a very smart person. All by myself. أنا فهمت كل اللي أنت قلته. I completely understood everything you said. أنا فهمت كل اللي أنت قلته. I completely understood everything you said. If you can understand native speakers without missing anything out, then you're doing a great job, I suppose. أنا أخدت سنة واحدة بس لغاية ما بقيت بتكلم بطلاقة. It took me only 1 year to become fluent. أنا أخدت سنة واحدة بس لغاية ما بقيت أتكلم بطلاقة. It took me only 1 year to become fluent. And this is amazing, and you can only achieve that by having lots of Egyptian friends you can speak with every day. So you can easily learn Egyptian Arabic fluently. You can speak it fluently in only 1 year or even less. العربي ممتع وسهل في التعليم. Arabic is fun and easy to learn. العربي ممتع وسهل في التعليم. Arabic is fun and easy to learn. And of course, Arabic is fun and easy to learn if you're doing it with us, Arabic Pod 101. أنا مش بس بعرف عربي. أنا بتكلم شوية لغات تانية برضو. Apart from knowing Arabic, I can speak a few other languages as well. أنا مش بس بعرف أتكلم عربي، ده أنا بعرف كمان أتكلم شوية لغات تانية. Apart from knowing Arabic, I can also speak a few other languages as well. For example, English. شكراً ليك، بس هي في الحقيقة مش لغتي الأم. Thank you, but it's not my native language actually. شكراً ليك، بس هي في الحقيقة مش لغتي الأم. Thank you, but it's not actually my native language. أنا بعرف أتكلم عربي بأكتر من لهجة. I can speak Arabic in more than one dialect. أنا بعرف أتكلم عربي بأكتر من لهجة. I can speak Arabic in more than one dialect. For example, I can say شكو ماكو حبيبي. It means how are you or what's up, my love, or حبيبي in Iraqi dialect. أنا بعرف أقرأ عربي كمان. I can also read Arabic. The next phrase is أنا كمان بعرف أقرأ عربي. I can also read Arabic. And if you would like to practice Arabic more, you will most certainly find your favorite books in Arabic translated. And that's it for today. What was your favorite phrase? Can you write it below in the comments? Don't forget to subscribe and comment, and visit our website, arabicpod101.com. Bye-bye.
You are at a train station where you're looking for the best exit to catch a taxi. Which direction should you go in to get to the taxi stop? Which direction should you go in to get to the taxi stop? You should head east to get to the taxi stop.
الشرق.
You are at a bus terminal where you've just bought a long-distance ticket. Which seat number are you in? Which seat number are you in? The ticket says that you're in seat 20.
مقعد رقم 20.
You are at a bus stop where you're waiting for the 301 bus. There is a notice posted on the bus timetable. What does the notice say? What does the notice say? The notice reads, "The 301 bus does not stop here."
باص رقم 301 لا يقف هنا.
You are at a bus terminal where you're attempting to buy a ticket from a ticket counter. There are 4 different counters. Which counter should you line up at to go to the south side of the city? Which counter should you line up at to go to the south side of the city? The third counter is the counter for bus tickets that go to the south side of the city.
إلى جنوب المدينة.
You are at a bus terminal where you're reading the schedule for long-distance buses. On which days are there no buses running? On which days are there no buses running? There are no buses running on public holidays and the third Saturday of every month.
الأجازات الرسمية والسبت الثالث من كل شهر.
Want to speak real Arabic from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at ArabicPod101.com.
When learning a new language, we sometimes have a hard time with things like procrastination, discouragement, or failure. But don't panic. With a good strategy, you'll be able to overcome these difficulties. Are you ready to discover the 4 habits of successful learners? Number 1, optimize your time. When learning a language, it's important to dedicate time to your studies regularly, even if sometimes it's difficult. You're busy with school, work, family, or friends, but you can spread out your learning throughout the day. Study whenever you have small gaps of time in your busy schedule. This can be when you're on the metro, on your lunch break, or while you're exercising. Our podcast learning format fits perfectly into your tight schedule. Number 2, consistency with your chosen method. There are a lot of options when it comes to courses and learning materials. Switching from one method to another can confuse you and disrupt your progress. Focusing on one learning method will make a difference. Our method has been created and optimized by real teachers, so you can stick to it with confidence. Number 3, use your language background. Many languages share some commonalities. You can find words that look or sound similar, or even share the same grammar structure. A little bit of language background will give you an edge while learning. Number 4, study continuously. People are excited when they start learning a new language. The enthusiasm usually lasts until the first roadblock. This can lead to discouragement and procrastination. But don't burn yourself out. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't try to learn it all at once. Break things down into more digestible chunks. Learning step by step might feel slow, but it's an efficient way to learn a language. With patience, motivation, and good resources, you'll master the language. Remember, you can't learn a language overnight, but with motivation and these daily lessons, you'll be on the road to fluency.
In the last lesson, we learned the phrases هل تتكلم الإنجليزية? Do you speak English? And هل بإمكانك التكلم بالإنجليزية? Could you speak English? And we mentioned the word من فضلك, which means please in Arabic. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to use المعذرة or عفواً and أنا آسف and other words when apologizing in Arabic. We should use المعذرة or عفواً when we want to say excuse me, such as when we are ordering something in a bar or a restaurant. For example, المعذرة قهوة من فضلك or عفواً قهوة من فضلك. Excuse me, a coffee please. We can also use it when asking a question. المعذرة أين المحطة? Or عفواً أين المحطة? Excuse me, where is the station? Sometimes we also hear people say من فضلك or please to draw somebody's attention. من فضلك. If the person is a woman, we replace the ending with ki, so it becomes من فضلك. In case you want to use excuse me to apologize instead of asking something, you should say عذراً. It can be used if you accidentally bump into someone on the street. عذراً. Just like عذراً, we can use أنا آسف when apologizing. It literally means I'm sorry or pardon me. As we learned in the last lesson, أنا means I, so the adjective that follows should be modified according to the gender. So if you're a woman, you should say أنا آسفة instead of أنا آسف. All of these phrases can be used for either excuse me or I'm sorry. But if you really want to apologize for something, it might be better to use a different phrase. That phrase is the verb سامحني. سامحني. It can be translated as forgive me in English. It is a bit stronger, but it can be used in both formal and informal situations. Again, since سامحني means that you are asking for the other person's forgiveness, it should be changed according to the gender. So it becomes سامحيني if the other person is a female. سامحيني. Now it's time for Carol's tips. Please remember that in most of the Arab countries, if you accidentally bump into someone, you don't say forgive me, سامحني, which is for a more serious annoyance. Instead, we say عذراً or أنا آسف, excuse me or I am sorry.
مرحباً أنا كارول سررت بلقائك. Hi, I'm Carol. Nice to meet you. In this series, العربية في 3 دقائق, we're going to learn basic Arabic expressions. It's super easy and it takes only 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Arabic. There are a few other ways to say it depending on how formal you want to be. Let's first look at an informal way to introduce yourself in Arabic. مرحباً أنا كارول سررت بلقائك. Hi, I'm Carol. It's a pleasure to meet you. مرحباً أنا كارول سررت بلقائك. Now you try it. Start by saying مرحباً, which is the equivalent of hi. Then say أنا, literally I am, followed by your name. أنا كارول is I am Carol, Finally, say nice to meet you. If you're talking to a man, you say سررت بلقائك. If you are talking to a woman, say سررت بلقائك. This phrase means pleasure to meet you. In the English phrase pleasure to meet you, you is a neutral word. You can use it for both men and women. But in Arabic, the word you needs a gender. When you change the last letter in لقائك, a, to an e sound, لقائك, you are actually changing the word you from the male to the female version. Please be careful to use the correct version. Now let's see another way of introducing yourself. In this version, you will say, "Hi, my name is Carol," instead of, "Hi, I am Carol." And we will learn another way of saying, "Nice to meet you." مرحبا, اسمي كارول. تشرفت بمعرفتك. Hi, my name is Carol. I am honored to meet you. مرحبا, اسمي كارول. تشرفت بمعرفتك. What has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at these together. First, مرحبا, أنا كارول has changed to مرحبا, اسمي كارول. So, instead of saying, "Hi, I am Carol," we are speaking in a more formal way by saying, "Hi, my name is Carol." Next, after giving your name, instead of saying سررت بلقائك, you say تشرفت بمعرفتك, or I am honored to meet you, which is a bit more formal. Again, we should not forget to change the ending of the word depending on the gender of the person you're speaking to. It would be تشرفت بمعرفتك for a man and تشرفت بمعرفتك in case of a woman. One more time, here are the 4 ways you learn to introduce yourself in Arabic. Informally, مرحبا, أنا كارول. سررت بلقائك if you are speaking to a man, and مرحبا, أنا كارول. سررت بلقائك if you are speaking to a woman. The formal way to introduce yourself is مرحبا, اسمي كارول. تشرفت بمعرفتك if the person you're talking to is a man, and مرحبا, اسمي كارول. تشرفت بمعرفتك if that person is a woman. Now it's time for Carol's tips. When you introduce yourself in the Middle East or Northern African countries, it's polite to offer your right hand for a handshake or give 3 kisses on the cheeks, although the rules vary depending on where you are. Arab people place great value on politeness. So, for example, it is considered rude to enter a room or a place without greeting everyone. If you use the right sentence to introduce yourself, they'll definitely be impressed. مرحبا, أنا كارول. سررت بلقائك. Hi, I'm Carol. Nice to meet you. In this series, العربية في 3 دقائق, we're going to learn basic Arabic expressions. It's super easy and it takes only 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Arabic. There are a few other ways to say it depending on how formal you want to be. Let's first look at an informal way to introduce yourself in Arabic. مرحبا, أنا كارول. سررت بلقائك. Hi, I'm Carol. It's a pleasure to meet you. مرحبا, أنا كارول. سررت بلقائك. Now you try it. Start by saying مرحبا, which is the equivalent of hi. Then say أنا, literally I am, followed by your name. أنا كارول is I am Carol. Finally, say nice to meet you. If you're talking to a man, you say سررت بلقائك. If you are talking to a woman, say سررت بلقائك. This phrase means pleasure to meet you. In the English phrase pleasure to meet you, you is a neutral word. You can use it for both men and women. But in Arabic, the word you needs a gender. When you change the last letter in لقائك, a, to an e sound, لقائك, you are actually changing the word you from the male to the female version. Please be careful to use the correct version. Now let's see another way of introducing yourself. In this version, you will say, "Hi, my name is Carol," instead of, "Hi, I am Carol." And we will learn another way of saying, "Nice to meet you." مرحبا, اسمي كارول. تشرفت بمعرفتك. Hi, my name is Carol. I am honored to meet you. مرحبا, اسمي كارول. تشرفت بمعرفتك. What has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at these together. First, مرحبا, أنا كارول has changed to مرحبا, اسمي كارول. So, instead of saying, "Hi, I am Carol," we are speaking in a more formal way by saying, "Hi, my name is Carol." Next, after giving your name, instead of saying سررت بلقائك, you say تشرفت بمعرفتك, or I am honored to meet you, which is a bit more formal. Again, we should not forget to change the ending of the word depending on the gender of the person you're speaking to. It would be تشرفت بمعرفتك for a man and تشرفت بمعرفتك in case of a woman. One more time, here are the 4 ways you learn to introduce yourself in Arabic. Informally, مرحبا, أنا كارول, سررت بلقائك if you are speaking to a man, and مرحبا, أنا كارول, سررت بلقائك if you are speaking to a woman. The formal way to introduce yourself is مرحبا, اسمي كارول, تشرفت بمعرفتك if the person you're talking to is a man, and مرحبا, اسمي كارول, تشرفت بمعرفتك if that person is a woman. Now it's time for Carol's tips. When you introduce yourself in the Middle East or Northern African countries, it's polite to offer your right hand for a handshake or give 3 kisses on the cheeks, although the rules vary depending on where you are. Arab people place great value on politeness. So, for example, it is considered rude to enter a room or a place without greeting everyone. If you use the right sentence to introduce yourself, they'll definitely be impressed. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Arabic. Today, we're going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. هل أنتم جاهزون? Are you ready? فلنبدأ. Then let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the most common phrase, شكراً. شكراً. شكراً means thank you. To say thank you very much, you just need to add جزيلاً. شكراً جزيلاً. شكراً جزيلاً. شكراً is a formal way of saying thank you. If you want to thank someone more casually, say متشكر if you're a man and متشكرة if you're a woman. متشكر. متشكرة. This phrase means I am grateful or I am thankful. When someone thanks you, how should you answer? There's no set response like you're welcome in English, but there are a few things you can say. The first is بكل سرور. This means with pleasure. بكل سرور. Another phrase you can say is تحت أمرك, which literally means at your service or at your disposal. If you're talking to a woman, you should say تحت أمرك. تحت أمرك. تحت أمرك. It is often used as a funny way of responding to someone thanking you. There are so many ways of saying you're welcome in Arabic. Another one is لا شكر على واجب, which means don't thank me, it's my duty. لا شكر على واجب. Now it's time for Carol's tips. شكراً can mean thank you or thanks. Arabic language is very emotional, and relations between Arab people are very personal. So what if you want to use an expression that sounds more friendly? In that case, you can use Allah يخليك. This is a nice way to thank someone. That means, may God protect you. In the last lesson, we learned how to thank people by saying shukran and shukran jazilan. In this lesson, we learned some of the most common greetings used in Arabic-speaking countries. هل أنتم جاهزون? Are you ready? فلنبدأ. Then let's start. The most common greeting is marhaban or hi. Marhaban. This is a general way to greet people when you see them. A more cultural greeting is Assalamu alaikum. This means peace be with you and is generally used only by Muslims. We say it when we meet someone and also when we leave. Assalamu alaikum. Someone could respond to Assalamu alaikum with marhaban or hi, but it is more polite to respond to such greetings in the corresponding way. Since Assalamu alaikum means peace be with you, when greeted in that way, we should answer back with wa alaikum assalam, which literally means peace be with you too. Wa alaikum assalam. Whether you use marhaban, hi, or assalamu alaikum, it is also polite to ask the person how they are. Kayfa haluka? How are you? Kayfa haluka? Don't forget that in Arabic, the word you needs to have a gender. So, kayfa haluka is good if you are talking to a man
But if you are talking to a woman, you should ask كيف حالك? كيف حالك? When it's time to leave, you can say وداعاً or goodbye. وداعاً. The other person can reply مع السلامة, which means be safe. مع السلامة. Let's review the phrases you've learned in this lesson. مرحباً is hi. السلام عليكم is peace be with you. The response is وعليكم السلام. كيف حالك or كيف حالك is how are you. وداعاً is goodbye. And مع السلامة is be safe. Now it's time for Carol's tips. If you're leaving and you want to show the person that you would like to see them again, you can use إلى اللقاء, meaning see you, or إلى اللقاء قريباً, see you soon. إلى اللقاء, إلى اللقاء قريباً. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Arabic. Do you remember them? We introduced marhaban and assalamu alaikum, as well as shukran and ila liqa. In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Arabic, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Are you ready? Then let's start. Here's the basic way to ask if someone speaks English. هل تتكلم الإنجليزية? If you are talking to a male. And هل تتكلمين الإنجليزية? If you are talking to a female. هل تتكلم الإنجليزية؟ هل تتكلمين الإنجليزية؟ هل means do. You and speak are merged in the same word تتكلم for males and تتكلمين for females. إنجليزية means English. This is an indirect way of asking someone to speak to you in English. There are many ways of making it clear that you're asking the person to speak English to you. For example, هل بإمكانك التكلم بالإنجليزية? Means, could you speak English? هل بإمكانك means, could you? Are you able to? Or, is it possible to? And is referring to the ability of the person to speak English. Again, if you're talking to a female, you should change the last accent of ka to ki. So the question becomes, هل بإمكانك التكلم بالإنجليزية? التكلم means speaking, and بالإنجليزية is in English. To be more formal, we could add the word please to the request to make it هل بإمكانك التكلم بالإنجليزية من فضلك? In this case, the question cannot mean the person's ability to speak English anymore, because you are obviously asking them to speak English to you. Since in Arabic, the word please literally means from your favor, it should also be changed according to the person's gender. So, in case of a female, we should also change the ka ending of please in min fadlika to min fadliki. The question becomes هل بإمكانك التكلم بالإنجليزية من فضلك? The responses you will receive could be one of these three. نعم, yes. نعم. قليلاً, a little. قليلاً. There are a few ways of saying no in Arabic. لا or كلا. No, I don't speak English is لا أنا لا أتكلم الإنجليزية. لا أنا لا أتكلم الإنجليزية. It is exactly the same structure as in English. لا is no, أنا is I, لا means don't. أتكلم is I speak, and الإنجليزية is English. Since this last one is a negative statement, we need to say لا before the verb أتكلم or speak. لا literally means no, but when placed before a verb, it negates this verb, becoming don't or doesn't. Notice also that the verb أتكلم is slightly different than تتكلم, which we learned before. Remember, the verb changes depending on the pronoun used. We are not talking about أنا, Arabic for I. Thus, I do not speak is أنا لا أتكلم. Now it's time for Carol's tips. For those of you who are not native English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Arab people study other languages at school, depending on the country they live in, so maybe you'll get lucky. Just substitute الإنجليزية with الفرنسية for French, الإيطالية for Italian, الإسبانية for Spanish, or الألمانية for German.
Want to speak real Arabic from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at ArabicPod101.com.
Hi everyone, my name is Peyhan and this is Arabic Top Words. Today's lesson is going to be about 10 ways to save the planet in Arabic. So let's begin. إعادة التصنيع or إعادة التدوير. To recycle. إعادة التصنيع or إعادة التدوير. To recycle. So for example, you can say إعادة التصنيع مشروع هايل, which means recycling is a good project. Or you can say إعادة التدوير مشروع هايل, which is the same thing. Recycling is a good project. يحمي. To protect. يحمي. To protect. For example, you can say عايزين نحمي البيئة من التلوث. We have to protect the environment from pollution. إعادة الاستخدام. To reuse. إعادة الاستخدام. To reuse. إعادة الاستخدام بتحافظ على موارد البيئة, which means reusing helps reserve natural resources. يحافظ. To conserve. يحافظ. To conserve. For example, you can say عايزين نعمل حملة توعية للحفاظ على المياه. We want to start an awareness campaign to conserve the water. تقليل الزبالة. To reduce trash. تقليل الزبالة. To reduce trash. And here we can use a word we previously learned, which is إعادة التصنيع or إعادة التدوير, which means to recycle. And we can have a sentence like إعادة التصنيع, إعادة التدوير بتقلل الزبالة. Recycling helps reducing trash. الاهتمام بالبيئة. To care for the environment. الاهتمام بالبيئة. To care for the environment. For example, you can say الجمعية دي من أهدافها الاهتمام بالبيئة. This organization aims for caring for the environment. استخدام منتجات صديقة للبيئة. To use eco-friendly products. استخدام منتجات صديقة للبيئة, which means to use eco-friendly products. So for example, you can say الشركة دي منتجاتها صديقة للبيئة. This company's products are eco-friendly. تقليل تلوث الهواء. To reduce air pollution. تقليل تلوث الهواء. To reduce air pollution. محتاجين قوانين جديدة لتقليل تلوث الهواء, which means we need new regulations to reduce air pollution. تقليل تلوث المياه. To reduce water pollution. تقليل تلوث المياه. To reduce water pollution. So for example, you can say المصانع لازم تقلل تلوث المياه. Factories need to reduce water pollution. ترشيد الاستهلاك. To reduce consumption. ترشيد الاستهلاك. To reduce consumption. So for example, you can say عشان نحافظ على الأرض محتاجين نرشد الاستهلاك. To protect the earth, we need to reduce consumption. Hi everyone, welcome to Arabic Top Words. Today we'll do the 20 words you will need for the beach. نظارة الشمس. Sunglasses. نظارة الشمس. Sunglasses. اشتريت نظارة شمس جديدة. I bought new sunglasses. شط. Beach. شط. Beach. For example, النهاردة هنفطر على الشط. Today we'll have breakfast on the beach. سباحة. Swimming. سباحة. Swimming. رياضتي المفضلة هي السباحة. My favorite sport is swimming. شمس. Sun. شمس. Sun. النهاردة الشمس حامية قوي. The sun is too hot today. شجر النخيل. Or نخل. Palm tree. نخل. Or شجر النخيل, which means palm tree. For example, you can say في مصر دايما بنزرع شجر نخيل على الطرق. In Egypt, we usually plant palm trees alongside of the road. صدفة. Seashell. صدفة. Seashell. For example, هنروح نجمع صدف من على الشط. We will go collect some seashells from the beach. مايو. Swimsuit. مايو. A swimsuit. هلبس المايو وانزل البحر شوية. I'll put on my swimsuit and swim in the sea for a while. بحر. Sea. بحر sea. البحر لونه حلو قوي النهاردة. The sea has a beautiful color today. في البحر سمكة سمكة. Jet ski jet ski jet ski, which means jet ski. For example, you can say نفسي أركب jet ski. I want to ride a jet ski. فوطة towel فوطة, which means a towel. ممكن تديني فوطة? Would you give me a towel? جردل bucket جردل bucket. هات الجردل. Bring the bucket. Icebox cooler icebox, which means a cooler. For example, معايا فاكهة في الicebox. I have some fruits in the cooler. المد والجزر tide. المد والجزر tide. المد والجزر قوي قوي النهاردة. The tide is very strong today. tan which means a tan. For example, عايزة أخد tan. I want to get a tan. الغطس diving. الغطس diving. يلا نروح نغطس في شرم الشيخ. Let's go diving in Sharm. شبشب flip flop. شبشب flip flop. مش لاقية الشبشب بتاعي. I cannot find my flip flops. Sunscreen which means a sunscreen. For example, you can say نسيت أحط sunscreen. I forgot to put on my sunscreen. شمسية umbrella. محتاجين شمسية كبيرة. We need a big umbrella. لعب البحر beach toys. لعب البحر beach toys. For example, ضيعت لعب البحر. I lost my beach toys. عوامة floaters. الأطفال بيلبسوا عوامات قبل ما ينزلوا البحر. Children put on floaters before they swim in the sea. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you liked it. Why don't you tell us below about your favorite beach words? And don't forget to subscribe and like this video and visit our website arabicpod101.com. Bye bye! Hi everyone, I am Perihan and this is Arabic Top Words. Today we're going to do 10 phrases for surviving back to school. Let's get started. شنطة ظهر backpack. The first word we have is شنطة الظهر backpack. For example, امبارح اشتريت شنطة ظهر. Yesterday I bought a backpack. زميل classmate. زميل a classmate. For example, ندى هتروح مع زمايلها. ندى will go back home with her classmates. واجب homework. For example, يلا اعمل الواجب. Do your homework. امتحان exam. For example, عندي بكرة امتحان. I have an exam tomorrow. أجازة الصيف summer break. أجازة الصيف summer break. For example, أجازة الصيف إمتى? When is the summer break? مدرسة school. For example, مدرستي جنب البيت. My school is beside my house. يذاكر to study. For example, هذاكر رياضة النهاردة. I'll study math today. This is how I study math. إحنا في نفس الفصل. We're in the same class. إحنا في نفس الفصل. Yes. إحنا في نفس الفصل. We're in the same class. إيه المواد اللي بتاخدها? What classes are you taking? إيه المواد اللي بتاخدها؟ What classes are you taking? اتخصصت في إيه؟ What's your major? اتخصصت في إيه؟ What's your major? And in Egypt we usually have two answers. It's either علمي or أدبي. علمي means science, like a science major where you study chemistry, math, and biology, or أدبي, arts, where you study geography, history, economy, and I'm missing something. Philosophy. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to tell us about your favorite subject in school, and also don't forget to like, subscribe, and visit our website, arabicpod101.com. I'll see you all later. Bye bye. Nobody said it was easy. Hi everyone, I am Perihan and this is 10 must-know autumn vocabulary. Let's get started. Sweater. And in English, it's sweater. Wow. You can also say jacket. For example, you can say السويتر الأحمر هيليق على لبسك. The red sweater matches your clothes. You can say also الجاكيت الأحمر هيليق على لبسك. Usually we use jacket more than sweater. بتمطر rainy. بتمطر rainy. For example, you can say الدنيا دلوقتي بتمطر. It's raining now. Or if you want to say it's about to rain, you can say الدنيا شكلها هتمطر. هوا windy. هوا windy. هوا also means air. For example, you can say النهاردة الجو هوا. Today it's windy. You can also say النهاردة الجو هوا قوي. Today it's very windy. There's like a new song like هوا 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 هوا. She saw like the guy she has a crush on and she was like, oh, هوا هوا. It's so funny. برد cold. برد cold. For example, you can say امبارح الجو كان برد قوي. Yesterday the weather was so cold. You can also say ساقع. It also means cold. And you can say امبارح الجو كان ساقع قوي. برد also means cold as in catching cold. So for example, you can say الأسبوع اللي فات كله كان عندي برد. Last week I had a cold. الخريف autumn. الخريف autumn. For example, you can say الخريف ابتدى. Autumn started. السحاب clouds. السحاب which means clouds. For example, you can say السحاب كتير قوي. There are so many clouds. Or for example, you can say السحابة دي شكلها عامل زي الحصان. This cloud looks like a horse, and so on. For example, قميص بكم long-sleeved shirt. قميص بكم long-sleeved shirt. For example, you can say الراجل اللي لابس قميص بكم هو صاحب المحل. The man in a long-sleeved shirt is the owner of the shop. Or for example, you can say النهاردة الدنيا حر فهشمر كم القميص. Which means today the weather is so hot, so I'm gonna roll up my sleeves. ورق الشجر leaves. ورق الشجر leaves. ورق الشجر means tree leaves. So ورق means leaves and شجر means trees. So tree leaves. For example, you can say الجنينة مليانة ورق شجر. The garden is full of leaves. Or ألوان ورق الخريف جميلة جدا. The colors of the autumn leaves are so beautiful. عيد الشكر Thanksgiving. The next one is عيد الشكر Thanksgiving. For example, you can say النهاردة بيحتفلوا بعيد الشكر في أمريكا. They are celebrating Thanksgiving in the USA today. مغيمة cloudy. مغيمة cloudy. For example, you can say الدنيا كانت مغيمة أوي الصبح. It was very cloudy in the morning. You can say الدنيا مغيمة أوي دلوقتي شكلها هتمطر. Today it looks very cloudy. I think it's about to rain.
When learning a new language, everyone should have an ultimate goal to work towards. Whether you want to be able to connect with a relative, easily order food while traveling, or go somewhere new, having an end goal for your learning can be very motivating. A popular but challenging goal is being able to speak like a native speaker. It's difficult to measure exactly when you reach this goal, and it's not something you can pick up using textbooks alone. So how do you work on making your speech more natural? That's what we're going to look at today. Here are 3 tips to help you practice talking like a native speaker. Number 1, focus on vocabulary. If your goal is to speak like a native, you might be really focused on speaking quickly or using as many complex grammar patterns as possible. But in our native languages, we're not always trying to speak as fast as possible, and we use complex grammar patterns when necessary, not to show off. Vocabulary, however, is extremely important to expressing ourselves naturally. Your choice of words can reveal a lot about you and your understanding of the language. Most learners have had the experience of using a phrasebook or a dictionary to find a word they want to use, trying the word in conversation, and getting a look of confusion from the native speaker. In some cases, although your word choice may be grammatically correct, the word may be inappropriate for the situation or totally unnatural. This is especially important in business and other formal situations, where the right level of formality and professionalism is key. Being able to understand nuances in vocabulary words can also help you understand relationships between people just by listening to the conversation. Try to listen to many different types of conversations. Listen to how people talk to their friends, their superiors, and in customer service situations. This will give you a better idea of how to talk to others naturally. In some languages, you can omit words from sentences or use more direct communication styles. It's important to be aware of these things so you can apply them yourself. Colloquialisms and slang are also commonly used in most languages. As this sort of vocabulary is always evolving, it can be difficult to keep up with the latest words. Talk with native speakers and consume media in your target language to make sure you pick up these kinds of expressions. Media is a great resource for your learning. Ultimately, knowing the appropriate vocabulary to use for each situation will really help you sound more knowledgeable. Number 2, perfect your accent. With every language, there are unique pronunciation and intonation challenges. Some languages are tonal languages, and a change in pitch can completely change the meaning of a word. Then there's the fact that most countries have multiple dialects, and so people from one area of the country may sound different from those in another. So what is the best way to listen to a wide range of accents and different pronunciations? Video and audio resources are a great way to do this. YouTube is a perfect place to start because people from all kinds of different backgrounds upload videos to the platform. You can watch educational videos, daily life vlogs, cooking shows, a travel series, whatever interests you. Pay attention to the different ways people speak. Everyone is unique. And then practice speaking like them. This kind of practice can help you sound more natural. One note, please be aware of the type of resources you're using. For example, if you find a video where a speaker uses a rare dialect, it might not be a good idea to use that for your pronunciation practice, unless you have a special reason for studying a specific accent. As a general rule, it's best to try to search for practice resources that use a standard form of the language you're studying. Number 3, copy what you hear. Do you remember how you learned to speak as a child? We rarely learned new words just listening to them, or reading after we learned how. When we were little kids, we imitated the sounds we heard by repeating the sounds out loud. While you're talking to a friend, watching videos, or listening to audio in your target language, you can do this to try and replicate the way they speak. Doing this will help you work on mastering the flow of the language, your accent, intonation, and pronunciation. Of course, you might also pick up some new vocabulary this way. Make sure to repeat new words often. It's a great way to make sure you remember them. Try doing this using a number of different mediums and sources. That way, you'll be exposed to the diversity that the language offers and master the fundamentals of pronunciation. For example, you can watch and imitate several different YouTube videos and audio CDs, but try a few different sources, like different creators or different audio types, to make sure you experience a wide range of communication in your target language. If you're using our language learning program, you can even get your own teacher with Premium Plus. Your teacher can answer questions, give assignments, and even listen to your recordings and give you advice on pronunciation. Completing these kinds of lessons with a native teacher can really boost your confidence in your speaking skills. Becoming able to speak like a native is a popular goal for many people learning a new language. It feels great to be able to communicate smoothly, especially when the people you're talking to expect basic level sentences or broken communication. Try using the tips we've shared in this video to work on improving your speaking skills. Of course, it'll take time and persistence, but the reward will be more natural communication. And for even more tips on speaking, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Want to know how to improve your listening and speaking skills, be able to save conversations, listen to them as many times as you want, and learn hundreds of practical everyday conversations? Well, there is an easy way to do this. In this video, we'll go over how to speak more using the dialogue track. So, what is the dialogue track? The dialogue track is an audio track with just the conversation from the lesson. It's only about 10 to 30 seconds long. Let's say you're looking at a 5-minute lesson about ordering food at a restaurant. First, you hear a conversation. Then our teachers explain every grammar rule and translate every word, so you know what it all means. That's where the dialogue track comes in. It gives you just the conversation. Here's what makes the dialogue track so powerful. First, you can quickly review the conversation without re-listening to the lesson. The dialogue track is just 10 to 30 seconds long, so it won't take you very long to cover both new and old information. This makes it perfect for a quick review of what you've just learned, and it helps keep it fresh in your brain. Second, you'll remember the conversations easier. Listen on repeat, like you would with a song, and the words, phrases, and grammar rules will stick better. And the more you come back to re-listen, the better it will all stick. Third, you'll speak more of your target language. So if you have 10, 20, or 100 dialogue tracks like that, then you have 10, 20, or 100 conversations that you'll know inside out and that you can use in real life. For example, conversations like catching up with friends, ordering at a restaurant, talking about your family, introducing yourself, and much, much more. Fourth, you improve your listening skills and can immerse yourself in the language. So imagine you've finished 20 lessons and you've downloaded 20 dialogue tracks to your phone. That's 20 conversations. You can create a playlist and play those 20 tracks and get used to the language and immerse yourself. To recap what we just learned, here's what you do to make the most of the dialogue tracks. First, after you finish a lesson, download the dialogue track. Save it to your computer or phone so you can listen to it on repeat whenever possible. Just replace 3 to 15 minutes of music listening for some language review. Next, if you've finished 20 lessons, you should have 20 dialogue tracks. Use those to create a playlist of these dialogue tracks so that you can listen to all kinds of conversations. And finally, try shadowing the conversations that you hear. This will become super easy once you've heard the conversation enough times. But if you're still struggling with a word or two, go back to the lesson and check the line-by-line breakdown of the conversation to find the words you need to practice. Boost your speaking skills with the dialogue track and check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Want to speak your target language with confidence and impress native speakers? When learning to speak a new language, you have lots of things to think about, including grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Because you're thinking of all of these things and trying to speak, it can be difficult to communicate with confidence, especially in the beginning. This is why it's helpful to make confidence-building exercises part of your language learning process. In this video, you'll learn 7 ways to boost your confidence. 1. Read out loud. This might seem pretty basic, but it's a great way to practice speaking. Reading aloud lets you practice speaking without having to think about grammar or things to talk about. Reading out loud lets you focus on your pronunciation and the rhythm of the language. It can help you learn to speak more smoothly and quickly, without even thinking about it. If you're using our lessons, read the dialogue out loud as you listen. You can read along with the dialogue tool, the lesson notes, or the transcript. 2. Read like a child. This might sound strange, but think about children learning to read. They go slow and sound everything out. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 tries before they read a new word smoothly, and a few more tries before they can read it at a natural pace. This example applies to language learning too. If you find a complex sentence in something you're reading, read it slowly at first, then speed up. With practice, you'll be able to say it easily. It might feel a bit silly to speak very slowly, but this kind of practice can help you identify tough sounds you might miss or say incorrectly when reading quickly. 3. Use the dialogue breakdown tool. If you're using our site, this is a great tool to take advantage of. It breaks down lesson conversations into individual lines. You can listen to the audio for each line, learn what each line means, and can reread and review as much as you want. 4. Use the voice recorder to record and compare yourself with native speakers. Just click on the microphone icon next to each line in the dialogue section. You can use this tool to perfect your pronunciation if you like, but this is also something you can use to work on speaking with confidence at native level speed. You'll find this tool in the dialogue section of all of our lessons. 5. Repeat and review old lesson conversations. Reviewing what you've studied in the past is the best way to make sure you maintain what you've learned. Go back to older lessons, download the lesson dialogue tracks, and re-listen to the conversations again and again. Or you can reread the dialogue lines from previous lessons until you've mastered them all. 6. Shadow conversations. Repeat what you hear out loud. This tactic is important, but it can be tricky when you're doing a brand new lesson. If you're reviewing dialogues from lessons you've done though, it's super easy to do. Just listen to the dialogue and repeat what you hear. Shadowing means mimicking the speaker as soon as they speak, following their intonation and rhythms as closely as possible. 7. Send recordings to your Premium Plus teacher. If you want to speak with confidence, there's no better confidence boost than feedback from a native speaker, and you get just that with a Premium Plus teacher. You can record yourself reciting a lesson dialogue or any dialogue of your own, and your teacher will give you specific tips on how to improve. From the tips your teacher gives you, choose at least one and practice, practice, practice. Being able to react quickly and with confidence in a conversation is typically not something you can do on your first try, but if you continue practicing, you'll gradually find yourself speaking with ease. And for even more ways to build your speaking confidence, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! When you start out learning a foreign language, everything is exciting. You pick up new words and basic phrases fairly quickly. The first time you say a greeting or answer the question, "How are you?" you might even get a little thrill. Speaking fluently doesn't feel that far off, and at this point it really does seem like language learning isn't all that difficult. But after a week or two, things begin to change. After a few weeks of study, you start to hit walls as you're faced with strange grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Everything about learning a new language seemed promising and hopeful before, but now you start to realize how difficult it's going to be. Speaking the language now feels like a long, far-off goal that you may or may not achieve one day. But don't let the innocence of being an absolute beginner or the disillusionment of being an experienced learner discourage you from learning. Speaking a new language may not be as far off as you thought. In this video, we'll look at 3 tips to help you practice your speaking skills, no matter what level you're at. Number 1, practice with native speakers. Practicing with native speakers is by far one of the most effective things you can do to improve your speaking abilities. Think of speaking a foreign language as riding a bike. After a certain point, you can't read or theorize about how to do it. You have to actually do it. If you can practice speaking with native speakers who correct you and give good feedback, then you'll be well on your way to improving your speaking. But where can you find native speakers to practice with? If you live in or near a major city, there's a good chance there are some native speakers there. You might even get lucky and discover an entire community. Do a little research into the demographics of your city, or simply keep your eyes open the next time you go through town. You can also attend a language exchange or cultural event. Meetup is a site for local enthusiast groups, and there are usually some language-speaking clubs or cultural clubs there. If you're unable to find native speakers where you live, then jump online and find them there. There are a lot of free online exchanges that allow you to connect with other language learners from all over the globe via text, audio, or video chat. Look for a speaker who is learning your native language. You can spend an hour or so helping each other in your respective target languages. This is a highly practical and helpful way to learn. It's also a great way to learn more directly about the culture you're studying in a real way. Number 2, devote some time to learning pronunciation. Pronunciation often isn't the first skill people think of working on when learning a foreign language, but that doesn't mean that it isn't important. Truth be told, you don't absolutely need a great accent to speak or understand every language. However, a decent accent can vastly improve your listening and speaking abilities in ways you might not expect. Being able to pronounce words and sounds makes it a lot easier for you to remember and understand new words simply by hearing them. If you can physically make a sound with your mouth, then you can mentally remember it. Once you have a good accent, the new language won't sound as foreign as it once did, and you'll be able to understand rapid speech, as well as pick up the definition of new words based on their conversational context. But how can you improve your accent? If you're serious about developing your accent, then you'll want to dissect the language's sound system into its individual parts. First by letters, then individual words, followed by whole phrases. Start doing some mild research on the phonetics of your target language. You don't have to get too technical here. Just try to get an idea of some of the main differences between it and your native language. Find out where native speakers usually put their tongue while saying certain sounds. Or pay attention to the shape of their mouths when they speak. Is it open or closed? These subtle differences are what really help you improve. Once you get the letters down, start listening to native audio and compare your pronunciation to the native speakers. Our language learning program's playback feature is a great way to accomplish this. Take a phrase from a lesson and start by practicing the individual words, playing the audio back at a slower speed and then again at a regular speed. After comparing your speech to the audio, combine the words to make complete phrases, imitating the intonation of the native speakers. This precise method of pronunciation practice is one of the most efficient and effective ways to learn pronunciation. Number 3, imitate, don't just repeat. Anytime you speak, do your best to imitate the native speakers you've heard and practice with. Match the way their intonation rises and falls. Pay attention to their word order. It's even a good idea to match some of their body language. This degree of imitation will probably feel weird at first, but it reinforces fluency in the language and breaks you out of the parrot trap, where you simply learn and speak through rote memorization or repetition. This is a common problem that's often cited with other less effective language learning methods. Speaking a language is like playing music or dancing. You don't want to just know it. You want to live in the moment and feel it as you use it. You don't sit and think of what you're going to say in your native language before you say it. Why would you expect to do the same in a new one? Don't let ruffled expectations make you think that speaking a new language is impossible. Yes, it's difficult, but it probably isn't as difficult as you think it is. With a little determination and some faithful practice, you might be surprised how quick and how far you can progress. Use these tips to better practice the language and see real results in your speaking abilities. And for even more ways to practice your speaking, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.